Alright, hi, I'm going to give this a try. Hi, my name is Scott. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Just give you a little kind of insight of what's going on here. About 3 years ago, I was involved in a motorcycle accident in which I was hit by a car, ended up getting thrown off my bike, and suffered multiple fractures to both of my legs, which put me out of commission for about 3 months. Was in the hospital, 4 major surgeries, a couple of years of recuperation between there. Unfortunately, one of the surgeries, which was for a bone graft to replace some missing bone that happened during the accident, unfortunately the bone graft didn't take, so the bone, instead of growing together and kind of fusing like this, is kind of doing this. So I have one end of my bone and the other end of my bone kind of doing like this. So they need to do another surgery to try and repair that. They're going to be taking out a 10 or 11 inch long rod that goes down the middle of my leg and replacing that, and then doing another bone graft. So that's kind of why I'm getting this going here. Give you a little bit of insight about myself as well, a little bit of background you can kind of read on the thing. I was born up in New York, lived up in Spring Valley, New York until I was about 8 years old with my family. We moved down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to Lauderhill actually, which is a suburb of the city of Fort Lauderdale. Lived there for about 20 years. Went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale for commercial art down there. And then joined the Air Force actually. Was in the Air Force for 3 years. Went over to Belgium for a year and a little bit, and then came back and was stationed at Fort Walton Beach at a subfield of Eglin Air Force Base up there in the Fort Walton area. After getting out of the Air Force, I became a stagehand at the Miami Arena and Joe Rugby Stadium, Sunrise Musical Theater, James L. Knight Center, some of the other venues down in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. Worked on a couple of movies as well as a stagehand and grip, helping with the movies. Anyway, after that I moved to Lake Tahoe. Moved out here about 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, I believe. So I've been here longer than I lived down in Fort Lauderdale. Moved out here, learned how to ski about a year after I moved out here. Most fun I ever had in my life. Became a very, very, very avid skier. Looked forward to winters all the time. Couldn't wait for the snow. I worked up at a ski resort. I was a ski photographer for a number of years. Started out, I worked at a ski resort as a lift operator. Getting other people up the hill. Learned how to ski while I was doing that. Then I became a ski photographer. Just loved it so much I wanted to let other people enjoy those memories as well on the hill. So became a ski photographer and let them do that, and did that for a number of years, about 15 years, for a couple of companies. One was called Sharpshooter, and the other was a private company owned by some friends of mine called Flow Ski Picks. We were up at Sierra Tahoe and out of Kirkwood and Mount Rose and Heavenly, and so I've worked at a couple of resorts around the area, so avid skier, loved it. We'd ski 100 to 110 days a season, so almost every day I'd be on the snow, enjoying it and having fun. I also got back into motorcycling. I rode a little bit while I was in the Air Force down in Florida, rode a little bit with my friends, but moved out here and there's just trails everywhere. It's you can just get out of, literally go out your back door and get on a trail and go ride. So I got a bike and started riding, and was really into riding. So every day in the summer I'd get off work, in the afternoon and get all my gear on and go up to the top of the hill and do a trail ride, and or a couple of trails, and spend a couple 3 hours just out out and about, and just loved it until that day. Was getting home, I was getting done with the ride. I was over at a buddy's house and was on my way home, and about 100 yards from my house, a guy pulled out of a driveway and didn't look and T-boned me. I didn't hit him, he hit me. He hit me directly on my right side. His bumper basically crushed my leg. And then it threw me from the bike, and when I landed on the ground on the other side, I landed on my left side and shattered my left leg. So that's where the surgeries came in. Again, I was in the hospital about 3 months. And in that time I had no income or anything like that, so any money I had saved up to that point, which wasn't a lot, I had used. Unfortunately, the person who hit me didn't have a lot of insurance, so unfortunately I didn't get a lot, which kind of leaves me in a spot that I am in now, that again, I just don't have a buffer. I've got another surgery coming up. I'm going to be out of work again for, who knows, from weeks to a couple of months, depending on, rehab and how things go. So that's kind of why I'm asking for everybody's help here. I know that we've got the holidays coming up, and everybody else, everybody's trying to do things for their family and everything else. So I know I'm asking a lot of everybody to help me out here. But it would be very much appreciated. I know that there are other things that you could be doing, with your money at this time. But I'm just asking for any help that anybody can give to help me out. Because otherwise I don't know really how I'm going to get through this time. Especially if I'm going to have to take time off from work like I'm going to. So that's kind of my story and why I'm asking for everybody's help in this. So please, I'm not asking you to give everything you have. I'm not asking you to give, tons, but any little bit helps. Every little bit helps, and it's definitely appreciated by me. So thank you all very much. Thanks for listening to my little story here, and hopefully we'll get this rolling, and I'll be able to get by and get through things that are coming up here. Thank you.